Today is the Spanish Inquisition and Christopher Columbus. I'll let you take a look at that lovely cartoon right there. And that's kind of the topic is Columbus a hero or a villain? Neither, somewhere in between. And we'll be talking about that this unit. But I'll start off with the Inquisition and then I'll move to Columbus. Just a bit of background info before we start on some Spanish history. The name of the Moors, if you go back and think about the history that we learned with Islam and Charles Martel, there were Muslims living here in Spain, or the Iberian Peninsula, which includes Portugal as well. And these Muslims were called the Moors. And through a series of rulers, the Spanish were involved in what's called the Reconquista, the reconquering, bringing the Iberian Peninsula under Spanish rule. So you can see on the map here how they did this over a period of years. This is going to set the stage and the context for the Inquisition. So understanding the Inquisition involves understanding Ferdinand and Isabella. The two different kingdoms that they unite are Aragon and Castile. I'll show you on the next slide a little picture of it. And they more or less complete the Reconquista and defeat Granada, which is the last Moorish kingdom, and then that's under Muslim control. Very, very Catholic. They'll come into play with Columbus as well, and they made Spain into one of the most powerful empires of the time. So here's a picture. Aragon is over here, and then Castile is the larger region, and then the part that they conquer is Granada down there, and then Portugal is there to the left. All right, the famous topic of the Inquisition. Famous, for the Monty Python sketch and some other pop cultural references as well, and also just the torture devices. And we kind of look back historically and shake our heads a little bit at what people are doing. So what the Inquisition is, it's an attempt started by Ferdinand and Isabella to go and basically convert the two main groups that weren't Christian in the Iberian Peninsula. So Jews and Muslims. The Jews that converted are called conversos, and the Muslims that converted were called moriscos. Whether or not these conversions were authentic or they're just doing it so they won't be tortured and be left alone is up to debate. The person that went and led the Inquisition is called the Grand Inquisitor, and this dude right here, very nice looking guy, is called Tomás de Torquemada, and he's the famous Grand Inquisitor from the Spanish Inquisition. Okay, so enough about the Inquisition. I'll hop over to Columbus. A lot of the stuff about Columbus, you know from elementary school or whatever, that's true. And some of the stuff is not true. So I'll be talking about some myths and some truths as well. He's an Italian explorer. He's not Spanish. I said explorer. Explorer, there we go. He's an Italian explorer, not Spanish, but he gets his funding from Spain, from Isabella and Ferdinand. So he goes to them multiple times and finally is able to achieve the funding. And he does sail the ocean blue in 1492 on the Niña Pinta and Santa Maria. That is true. Now my picture here, my graphic, did Columbus prove the Earth was round? That's not true. People had known for thousands of years that the Earth was round, and people did not think that they were going to fall off the face of the Earth. That part's not true. So he goes on this trip. He has, for several reasons, inaccurate maps, and they basically don't realize, the people going on the trip, that North and South America are there in the middle. It's just an area of land that they don't realize are between them and Asia. So when Columbus arrives in the Dominican Republic in Haiti, what they call Hispaniola at the time, when he goes there, they think it's India, so that's where you get the term Indian. So that is an accurate thing. So Columbus goes to Hispaniola, which is the modern-day Dominican Republic in Haiti. It's one island, and then Cuba's right there. And he makes the La Navidad settlement, and he goes and he leaves there. He goes back to Spain, and he comes back, and the Navidad settlement had been abandoned, and all the people were dead. So here's a picture of it, marked by the lovely tree right there, and that's in modern-day Haiti. And just to show you another shot, so here's Hispaniola, Dominican Republic in Haiti, and then Juana is Cuba today. La Navidad, this kind of a picture of what it looked like, kind of Jamestown-ish. Some more stuff. We'll talk about this. Did he mistreat the native Taino population? Whether if it's him personally or it's his people. The disease definitely was true. These people in the what they call the New World were basically susceptible to modern diseases from the Europeans. They just weren't able to have the immunity. But the main thing with Columbus, whether or not you like him or not, which we'll talk about, is he starts what's called the era of exploration. People go and think, whoa, there's a whole new part of the world. How do we go and check it out? I'll let you read this. You can pause. Very interesting. This is actually from Columbus's journal, going and describing the native population. And the question I'll leave you with here is, how does he view the natives? Here's a shot of what it would look like, a native kind of Taino village. Now, Columbus kind of ends his life on kind of a sour note. He ends up getting kicked back to Spain and imprisoned. And this is actually a piece from a letter that he wrote while in jail. So I'll let you pause here. And you can see he's pretty bitter at the time and kind of just feels like he's been wronged in the way that he was treated. He also predicted a lunar eclipse. The Europeans were able to go and do this. They had the technology. And he amazes the natives who hadn't developed this type of technology yet. Here he is, just a little map. You can check it out, the different journeys. He just doesn't go on one trip in 1492. There's other journeys as well. Now, long term, what are the big effects? The first thing is what's called the Columbian Exchange, which is named after Christopher Columbus. So you have to imagine this. There had been what they refer to as the Old World and the New World. Now, that's actually from the European perspective, from the native perspective. They could call Europe the New World. But the idea here is this. With the Columbian Exchange, there's animals that you've never seen before. There are plants, there's culture, there's all these different things that start to get intermixed that had not ever mixed in the course of human history, more or less. This also, because of the disease part, led to more or less the decimation of the native populations. Which is, according to the statistics, they're hard to read, but a very, very significant number of natives, depending on where we are in North or South America. And then also the origin of going, as the Europeans begin to explore, the origins of slavery, which obviously comes into American history, but going to Africa and uprooting these people and bringing them over as cheap labor in these colonies is going to have severe ramifications as well. So I got a couple graphics for you guys on what went which way. So these are going to Europe, to what's called the Old World, and then these ones are going to the New World, animals and types of foods. And some more pictures on some of the foods as well. So these are New World plants, and then these are Old World plants. And we'll end it with this one. The duck is everybody's favorite. How can you forget the duck? And these are just the animals that kind of go back and forth. So there you go. And we got some Inquisition and Columbus.